What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. I hope everybody is enjoying their holiday weekend. It is what is known in these United States of America as Memorial Day, all right? And on Memorial Day, we take the time, as we should all the time, but we set aside these days, we take the time to remember those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, who paid the price, for our freedoms, for our liberty, for our way of life, which has been compromised lately. So this is very significant. I was just watching the Memorial Day parade in there, and because of the fact that we can't gather the way that we normally do due to the pandemic, they're showing clips from old parades, and I think that's just sad because that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, how our way of life has been interrupted. So if anything, this Memorial Day, take that extra time to remember the men and the women and the families who sacrificed so much for our way of life, and make sure that when all of this is done, all right, we hold our government accountable for resuming our way of life, okay? It can't be like this indefinitely, guys, because if it is, guess what? That's not America, okay? So hopefully that's not what's going on, and we're just going to keep ourselves safe, keep ourselves healthy, but afterwards, we have to get back up. We have to unite again, all right? So this Memorial Day, take that time to remember what it was that all that sacrifice was for, all that fighting was for, all that loss of life was for, all right? This is how we honor them. All right, so getting off my soapbox, let me resume. All right, yesterday I put out a video talking about, my congratulations, to the fandom. I shouted out Stephen J. Walton, and also what I was talking about was Zack Snyder and his, the big news, about the Snyder Cut being released. It's going to be on HBO Max, and, the fans made their voices, heard, and I congratulated them on that. Now, the thing about it is, guys, is that in the comment section of that video, I noticed, and in the comment section of other videos too, and a couple of things I've seen on Twitter, I noticed that there are a few people who are insistent on wanting to rain on this parade, and they want to bring out their critiques of the movie as reasons why we should not be celebrating the Snyder Cut being resumed and being released. And somebody said something that I felt was very interesting. They said that this is the equivalent of Rian Johnson getting his way. All right, so they were equating the Justice League and the Snyder Cut to Rian Johnson in The Last Jedi, being able to continue to maul the property, the movie, the story, the characters. And I thought about that, guys. I could have ran right back to the camera. I was off yesterday, and I could have responded to that particular line of thinking. But, I let it marinate in my mind a little bit. I'm like, well, do they have a point? You know what I mean? A lot of people have been very critical about Zack Snyder's vision of the DC universe, and I talked yesterday about Superman, Superman being more of a dark nature, in the subject matter and his demeanor. And also, I personally said that I didn't appreciate the messianic imagery or, like tone of it, where Superman was presented as this holier than thou figure who was dying for the sins of the world, constantly being persecuted and stuff like that. And, that kind of got on my nerves, all right? But, see, let me try my best. I'm going to take a stab at pointing out the difference in this, right? Now, I don't bring this up often, but I figure that I can do this because I think I've been rightly identified as one of the first wave of the fandom menace in terms of the reaction to what happened with Disney Star Wars, all right? I was among the first who started making videos about it. Up until that time, I was making videos about everything else under the sun. So I saw the movie. I've always been a lifelong Star Wars fan, so I figured let me go on and, make my commentary about The Last Jedi. And after that, well, the community opened me. They welcomed me with arms wide open, right? And I went in and I've met all of these incredible freaking fucking fantastic people, right? And life has never been the same after that. I've met so many, made so many new friends and everything. So anyway, I can tell you guys, all right, anybody out there who thinks that Zack Snyder's Justice League is what Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi was, all right, to anybody out there, I would say this, all right. When most of us here in the Fandom Menace and Critical Voices, when most of us saw The Last Jedi, we either liked it or we didn't like it. And if we didn't like it, some of us made our little videos talking about it and everything. And it was a gut punch, man. It's like seeing Luke Skywalker that way. The character seemed to be drastically changed from what the nature of the character has been historically. So when you think about Luke going someplace to die, when his sister and his best friend are dying, and he's got a nephew who's being turned over and corrupted to the dark side and killing people all over the galaxy. When you think about that Luke Skywalker, you're like, well, how does that compare with the Luke Skywalker that has endured for decades? The very symbol of hope and optimism. 1 minute we saw him, maybe that's what it was. We didn't see that middle ground. So 1 minute we saw him being the very symbol of hope and optimism, in the next minute, and also loyal, loyal to his family, to his sister. That Luke Skywalker that we last saw would never abandon his family. Now, we go decades later, and we're presented with a Luke Skywalker who has abandoned his family. We see his sister is on camera crying. We see his best friend being killed and thrown over the side of a catwalk by his own son, who was a student of Luke's. And that Luke Skywalker is going to sit someplace on his ass and not do anything. All right. Of course, you're going to have some people who are questioning this particular vision. All right. So it didn't go down well. All right. And a lot of us, we made our videos and stuff like that. Some of us we were one and done, and some of us made a career out of it, and then there are some of us who just do what we do. We make our little commentary. I think I fall into that category. I haven't built some mega platform or anything like that, but I do very much cherish what I have, in my viewers, in my viewership. But the fact of the matter is, at that time, we would have voiced our opinions and probably continued to voice our opinions in our little groups, respectively speaking. But what ended up happening is that Disney Lucasfilm and all of their little peons that were associated with them began to attack us. The media began to demonize us, all right? They began to attempt to separate us by taking what they identified as white males and call them racist if they didn't like the movie, all right? So we went into the movie together, all right? We talked about, I actually saw The Last Jedi with a friend of mine from work who happens to be white. Shout out to Jerry. He watches some of my videos. And both of us sat there, and I remember Jerry just, he was turning colors. Now, see, I can't turn colors, but Jerry was over there turning red. He was turning all types of shit. And when Luke threw the lightsaber over his shoulder, I remember both of us just looked at each other like, what are we looking at, And it just went downhill from there, And by the time we left, Jerry had nothing to say. And when the next day at work, he still had nothing to say, you know what I mean? And these days, when you talk to him about it, he still has nothing to say, about The Last Jedi. He's so pissed off, and he's always going to be pissed off, and so am I, all right? But like I said before, what ended up happening is they demonized Jerry, all right, and white males like him, by calling him racist. Jerry went to the movies with me, his black brother, we went there. We always bonded over Star Wars. Guys at work make fun of us whenever we're talking. Oh, they're talking about Star Wars again. Ooh, you know what I mean? Jerry, you know what's up. So, and we make no apologies for it, But the point is that you're calling that man, and this is why I had to speak up for that man. All right, you're calling that man a racist. Now, keep in mind, we do a little off-color humor back and forth and everything. But Jerry, he's a good dude. And most of the guys that I meet in the fandom are good dudes, all right? So I didn't appreciate that. It's wrong, all right? And I felt like I was being manipulated, as a black man, that, oh, I'm supposed to, now I'm supposed to stick up for The Last Jedi. I'm supposed to love Finn, a runaway slave janitor, peon who never gets the girl and shit like that, But no, I had my own way of thinking. I had my own critical way of thinking, and I didn't appreciate what I saw, So where did that leave me, and people like me at that point? if you're just going to focus on that. That is your summary of what the problem was with The Last Jedi. There were too many racist white man babies, all right? And in the middle of all of that, stirring the pot, you had that round-headed bastard Rian Johnson, who continued to troll the fans and insult the fans, you know, and incite the fans, and said very specifically that he wanted to have the audience separated, okay? Remember, that is a matter of public record. It is on video. You can bring up any video, put it in your search engine if you think I'm lying, all right? That's what he said. All right, so you had all of these articles, you know, all of these insulting, you know, hit pieces that were written against us, and you know, all of the trolls that came after us, you know, in our videos, the death threats, you know, all of that. All right. Now, you would figure if someone is being accused of being racist, they wouldn't attack a black guy by calling me, you know, all types of wannabes, or you Jeremy, you know, suck up and you just want to be like them, you know, you're a house nigger. It's like all of that bullshit, all right, we had to put up with, okay? Now, forgive me if I'm wrong. Somebody please provide me with the proof of this, but I don't believe at any point in history that you saw Zack Snyder doing that kind of thing. So if you want to make the comparison between Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi and Zack Snyder's Justice League, you're going to have to show me that commonality right there, all right? You have to show me where Zack Snyder was trolling his fans, or the fans of the Justice League, you know, and how the media attacked people, you know, for their views, you know, and they went on this campaign. All right, the only attacks that I saw were the attacks against people who wanted him to complete his vision. All right, because I started hearing slowly but surely, you know, I saw, you know, the Superman, you know, Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Justice League, you know, all of that. You know, I felt that it was okay. All right, I felt that it was crazy choppy, you know, and you could tell that it was an incomplete vision. You know, there are some things that I really appreciated. There are some things that I was like, what the fuck were they going for there? You know what I mean? So I wasn't a huge fan. I am a Marvel fan also. I had a great time with my son, you know, watching it. I don't like to hear people bashing the MCU. It was good for what it was. I don't know if it's ever going to recapture that glory again. But the fact of the matter is that that's the only people I saw attacked. You know, I started to hear rumblings. Wake the fuck up, release the Snyder Cut. I'm like, what? Why are we supposed to wake the fuck up? What? I don't understand. You know, I didn't know, you know, because I hadn't gotten behind the scenes to know that the man had been taken off the project, that his daughter had passed away and he wasn't able to finish it. But once I started hearing this and investigating it, I was like, okay, now it makes sense. It makes sense why the product looks the way it does, and it's uneven and it's choppy. You know, so I began to think to myself, yeah, this man, if there's any way possible that he can complete his vision, I would probably be very interested in seeing it, because from what I can read, like in between the lines, it seems like there was a lot more he had on his mind than what actually made it up onto the screen. And like I said in the last video, his portrayal of Batman was fucking awesome, man. You know what I mean? So it's like I truly love that, and I wanted to see more of that. I mean, that had me sold. Like, whatever, you know, criticisms I had for Superman, and, you know, like I said before, that whole Superman is the Messiah thing, just show me more of what you had in mind, and I'll make up my decision after that. You know, I'll make up my mind after that. But you know, so here we are today, all right? And now, after these people have been persecuted, after they've been beaten and insulted, and, you know, people have tried to humiliate them, now, finally, this man gets to complete his vision. These people are happy. They fought for it. They paid the price for it. And we, as a fandom, should be standing with them. We should be celebrating with them, because this was their voice. This was the voice of the fans. This is what it's always been about. I don't understand people who have considered themselves to be fandom menace, who now are dumping on these people instead of celebrating with them for this victory that they got. Zack Snyder is not Rian Johnson. It's a big difference between the two. You know, so this is what I'm talking about. That I don't understand that comparison at all. So I figured that I would come on here and I would try to break down the differences as I see them. You never saw Zack Snyder abusing fans. You know, he dealt with the things that he had to deal with, the tragedy, the frustration. I did see some of that. I've heard some statements by Ben Affleck about some of what was going on behind the scenes. And now we get a clearer vision. Will it be a classic? Will it be something that is above criticism? Of course it's not. Of course, we're always going to criticize the things that, that we are passionate about. So nobody is saying that, oh, it's going to be perfect now, everything is all right with the world. No, not at all. What we're happy about is the fact that this man gets to complete his vision, all right? And we get a better view of what he was going for. And I think that we could all only be better for that. All right, he's an artist. All right, there's a lot of artists in the fandom. It's like if you're trying to create something, you're trying to, get your point across through your art or whatever, and you have somebody who, fucks up your vision, then you should understand what this is really about. So, hopefully, like I said before, things will go according to plan, and the fan and the fandom, stop the bullshit infighting. There's no reason for that. This is not a Rian Johnson situation. The fans should be happy that our voices were taken into consideration. And hopefully this will be a wake-up call for Hollywood. Like I said before, this goes back to the days of the gladiators. When you went to the crowd would say, yay, or the crowd would say, that's his ass. You know what I mean? So it's always been valuable, pleasing the masses. So, yeah, guys, I just wanted to sound off on that, for my part, because like I said, I see the tendency to do that. Oh, this is just like, what if Rian Johnson had won? No, it's not like that at all, guys. So please let that go, all right? And let's stand with our brothers and sisters in the fandom. This is a victory, and please, let's see it as that. You can like or you can not like a movie, just like with The Last Jedi. Most of us said the whole time, it's okay if you like The Last Jedi. What this is about is the disrespect. Right? It's about the disrespect that those behind the camera in the creative fields, and it's about how they have reacted to us in the media. Our problems with the movie is always going to be our problems with the movie. Unfortunately, it happened. It's up to us now to decide in our minds what we want to accept going forward. And any creators in the future, maybe they'll walk it back. You never know. One can only hope. If they listen to the fans and they look at all of the source material that's out there, the books, the comics, the TV shows, the cartoons, all that stuff that Kathleen Kennedy said wasn't out there, there's a treasure, a treasure chest of things to, draw from. George Lucas's treatments, all of it. But, all right, guys, I'm just babbling at this point. All right, I just wanted to make my voice heard. And as always, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe. When you subscribe, please hit the notification bell and hit all so you get all notifications. I know, I hear people all the time telling me that they're not getting notifications. YouTube is just killing me. But, share, let people know that I'm still here, and I do appreciate it. As always, get in the comment section, let me know how you feel. And guys, I will see you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.